blockade of Cuba. On behalf of the Answer Coalition under Unión del Barrio, the Brown Berets San Diego, and the Party for Socialism and Liberation, we would like to welcome you to our car caravan and community rally to show solidarity with the people of Cuba and the demand cruel blockade to end. And that is why we are here, empowered and moved to show our support for the resilient Cuban people, share our stories and experience as a community about Cuba, and demand the U.S. do away with this inhumane blockade.
We see that 57 medical brigades have been deployed to more than 40 countries. Something historic, something never done, not even by the most vicious, violent, imperialist power humanity has ever seen. Cuba, in its international solidarity, has been able to send medical brigades the world over during this crisis of pandemic, and it shows and it's clear that Cuba saves lives.
Hoy más que nunca valoramos la solidaridad internacionalista de la República de Cuba, pueblo que por más de 60 años ha sido capaz de defender su soberanía y su libertad de las repetidas agresiones del imperialismo yanqui. Cuba ha entregado una importante lección al mundo sobre lo que significa solidaridad, porque a pesar de del más vil y criminal bloqueo económico, financiero y comercial que los Estados Unidos impone, el heroico pueblo cubano enfrentó esta pandemia con el ejemplo más altruista que no tiene precedente. Cuba envió más de 57 brigadas médicas a más de 40 países para ayudar a combatir los estragos del COVID-19. El ejemplo de Cuba de cooperar con la comunidad internacional para superar esta pandemia da evidencia que Cuba salva vidas.
And that it's really important to recognize the leadership of Fidel, who is no longer with us, but will always be with us in his revolutionary spirit. We know as conscious people that we have more hope in our hearts because of Cuba and because of its leaders that have fought for freedom, not only to stand to defend their own revolution, but also to stand in solidarity with people throughout Latin America and throughout the world. Definitely lift up how Cuba has sent doctors, the only nation that has sent doctors to fight COVID-19 throughout the world against this pandemic. That they sent doctors to Mexico, doctors to France, and even imperialist nations to help them fight against COVID. I also want to lift up that it is also important for us as conscious people to come together, and that there's nothing like learning of Cuba abroad as going to Cuba and seeing socialism and seeing revolution for yourself. Seeing what it's like for a country that is very humble in its resources because of the imperialist blockade, but is able to provide for all of its people things that basic human needs like housing and healthcare for everybody, that one of the richest nations in the world, the United States, will not do for its people. That no child in Cuba goes hungry, that no child in Cuba has no shelter, and that is really important to lift up. And it is absolutely necessary that everybody here stand in solidarity with Cuba and demand the removal of Cuba from this list of state-sponsored terrorism. Because the U.S., who rips children from the arms of their mothers, who doesn't have health care for all of its people, who will sacrifice the lives of so-called essential workers for capital, has no room to speak about state-sponsored terrorism. And we're just very proud to stand here today, and long live the Cuban Revolution and the Cuban people.
And as my comrade from UAW pointed out, there's really nothing like going to Cuba and seeing what the U.S. government doesn't want us to see. That is why Trump tightened the blockade and reinstituted the travel restrictions. It is so that we cannot see what things are like there and bring that truth back here. So, as I said, I was there just before Trump's tightening of the blockade and restriction of travel. So, as much as I saw the harmful effects of the blockade on my trip, things are even worse now after several years of intensified economic warfare. And make no mistake, That is exactly what the blockade is. It is warfare. Every single person I spoke to in Cuba said the same thing. End the blockade.
Bloqueo contra Cuba. End the blockade against the Cuban people. End to the criminal and genocidal blockade against the heroic Cuban people who saved lives. Cuba salva vidas. Cuba saves lives. Cuba salva vidas. Fin al bloqueo económico, comercial y financiero. ¡Que viva Cuba!
¡Que viva!
End to the blockade Cuban people. Fin al bloqueo. End to the blockade. Fin al bloqueo. Cuba sí, bloqueo no. Cuba sí, bloqueo no. Cuba sí, bloqueo no. Cuba sí, bloqueo no. Que viva el heroico pueblo cubano. Fin al bloqueo. El bloqueo es el virus. The blockade is the virus. Que viva Cuba, fin al bloqueo. Cuba sí, bloqueo no.